Really Wild Lockleaze grew out of some work we did with our community, asking them what was important to them. And they told us that the green spaces in Lockleaze were vitally important to their well-being. They're really proud of where they live. So Really Wild Lockleaze is a nature recovery programme that supports people living around housing greens to rewild where they live. And we're doing it right across a ward of nearly 13,000 people.
So in Lockleaze, we've got Stoke Park on one side. We've also got the railway coming through, which is a sort of accidental wildlife corridor. And one of the things that we're trying to do with Really Wild Lockleaze is to link it up so that the wildlife can move between the two. And then when you're thinking like that, then every little bit of green patch is an opportunity for a butterfly to pick up some nectar or for a hedgehog to hide. And yeah, everything is important. Everything's an opportunity.
We focused on the ecological crisis because it's a really important issue at the minute with the decline we've seen in nature and all the services that nature provides, pollination, carbon sequestration, shade from the trees. We looked at the neighbourhood as a whole and took inspiration from the urban nature reserve model to try and bring nature and people together and create nature habitat wherever we could, whether that was in schools, in people's gardens. And we put a lot of emphasis on the roadside verges because we've got a lot of green space in Lockleaze. Yeah, so we did that by finding someone who's interested to do this work, a street champion, and then we sort of went around with them, door knocking, galvanising the community that live around them, and that's where we would have those conversations about how do you already use the green, where do the children play? Then we would add these elements in, drawing on a flip chart paper, we'll have some wildflowers here, apple trees there, and then once we'd all sort of had those conversations and agreed, we'd take that to the council to get permission, and then get outside and make it happen.
Lockleaze is dotted with little green little parks everywhere, and they've always been quite bland, to be honest with you. They're just grass. So the Really Wild project in Lockleaze has taken them on board and they've developed them into wildflower meadows, which is brilliant. That's exactly what it needs because it increases the biodiversity of insect life as well, and obviously that has a knock-on effect on the food chain.
So whenever we're coming back home from somewhere, the kids always want to go onto the green now because some of the plantation was done by the kids. So they want to see what improvement has been done. Oh, this flower is growing, this colour is looking nice.
So for a bit of exercise, I used to ride my pedal bike, I still do, around the area. And I happened to see around the back of the sports centre, there was a boggy area. So Eric and Eleanor came over and had a look after my suggestion that it could be useful for rewilding. And they saw the potential. They've put a pond in, put some trees in, put some shrubs in. Because the algae was growing on top of the pond, we took it all off, and what did we find? Newts, loads of newts. So it's looking good over there.
Together we've planted 1,400 trees and over 2,000 square metres of wildflower meadows. But a really big part of it is actually the bringing the people together to take action for nature, because often these spaces, people live outside them. It might be their verge or it might be a sort of shared housing green. Maybe the kids play on it a bit, but people don't feel that much ownership over it. Whereas our project has been kind of getting people out there, working on it together, and one of our residents called it an old-timey neighbourhood feel of kind of, getting neighbours talking to each other for the first time.
Often you don't know who's your neighbour, so it was a really good community spirit, people coming out and helping, digging and sowing the seed.
I mean, it just gets you out of the house, if nothing else, to be honest with you, and you can sort of see what you've done before and after, and it sort of gives you a sense of accomplishment. It's just a sort of shared sense of responsibility in the community as well, which is just, it's a great thing.
Even my dad, who lives in Hogarth Walk, has in the front of his house planted with wildflowers now, and when I go there, we've got the Really Wild Lockleaze sign there, and it's a kaleidoscope of colour.
It's quite a tangible aspect of the climate and ecological crisis where you can go out with communities and create habitat. So where people feel daunted by these big issues, if you can do something in your little area where you live and plant a tree and create a little area, I think it gives people hope, and that's what we've sort of seen. People who get engaged with the project, they really sort of get momentum in terms of actually taking action.
What we hope Really Wild Lockleaze will mean for the future is that we will become, in Lockleaze, the national beacon of urban nature recovery. We think that what we're doing here is really important, but we also think that we could replicate this across the country for council housing estates like ours.
I just, love the thought of it, of all these patches of green throughout Lockleaze being full of people, full of flowers, full of wildlife, and really kind of being spaces where the community comes together.
It's joining up, the whole thing comes together, so it becomes a pathway for nature. Link it all together, and here's what you get.